Alright, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Talking Fever. Here I am, The Talking Fever, it's me. Hi. Today I wanted to talk about balancing God and life. I believe in God. Hi. Um, I believe in God. Anyway, so recently I told a friend that I've been trying to figure out God versus life. But then in that moment, I immediately realized that God is life. There is no separation. There is no versus. It just is. God is life. God is the reason for life. God is the process of life. God is life. And life is a part of God. Within the past week and a half, I have found my way back to the Bible. I recently downloaded a Bible app, a Torah app, and a Quran app, just because I wanted to read all three. I wanted to see what is actually going on within them. The Torah, I didn't get too far into, but off the bat, very similar to the Bible. The Quran, I read from the beginning. I know nothing about the Quran, but it was alright. That's all I got to say. It was alright. The beginning didn't have a beginning story. I don't know where the beginning story is in the Quran, but where the Quran starts off doesn't necessarily make sense to me as a person who just started reading it. And then there's the Bible. I'm familiar with the Bible. I grew up in a church. My parents are Christians, but something about it just didn't feel right to me. Like, there was a part of the whole process of going to church, just the religion aspect of God, specifically with Christianity, that didn't always sit right with me. And I still think, from an outsider perspective, that there can be things about church that's just not inviting, which is the exact opposite of what the Bible teaches and wants. So I started seeing Christian reels or Christian stories on YouTube, really. People talking about God, people talking about end times, revelations, different proverbs or scriptures, and it really started to speak to me. Honestly, it was on the topic of marriage in the Bible, because that's something that's important to me, and in my experiences with dating thus far, I haven't been able to find somebody that values relationship in the way that I value relationship. And so there were these wonderful seminars on marriage, as it is talked about in the Bible, what being a wife is, what being a husband is, and the commitment, all that really spoke to me. And it's actually quite beautiful. It's not this controlling, evil, manipulative state in which a woman just listens to the man all the time. And whilst listening to the scripture and the other things, just the characteristics of what a godly person is, not even just a Christian, but what a godly person is. That's a good person, really. And I think it, especially even though I came up in Christianity, I never really read the Bible. And I think it's really easy for people to judge the Bible just off what you hear or your unfortunate experiences, in a church. If you don't really read it or don't understand it, but when you actually read it, what I've come to realize is that, what a godly, good person is, it's something you would really liken to at least some degree to this new age idea of what a good person is. This understanding, open, loving, peaceful, non-violent, wise person, responsible, disciplined. It's a very respectful person. This is exactly what's in here. It doesn't say to be violent or controlling. It doesn't say to be manipulative. Those are all the things that God hates, and it's explicit that he hates it. And so I've come to find that a lot of what I have been searching for is in the Bible. It's in here, Crazy enough, it's there. But in this holy revolution in my spirit, I became micro-obsessed, which is what I'm going to call it. Probably a word, maybe it's not, I don't know. I'm going to say I became micro-obsessed with this. Obsessed. All I could do is read it and watch videos about it and then worry. The biggest part was worry about my sin. Worry about whether I'm truly connected to God or not. Worry about if what I've been feeling all of my life was really God or if it was something else. And that has been fairly debilitating these last few days, this week and a half. Because it kind of shook up everything that I thought I knew. But, with this revelation, I don't want to say cut off, but I stopped participating in a casual relationship that I had with somebody, not physical, but an online thing. I stopped doing that. I really enjoyed the person. We were actively friends. But there was a flirtatious sexual aspect of that was fun, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted to continue doing. And I knew that had to stop. So I stopped it. And I also unfollowed a lot of things that I previously was following, on social media or things like that. And I tried to essentially remove the things, that I could, that were having a negative influence on me. So I did that. But I still had this weight and anxiety of am I doing enough? Can I do enough? Am I gonna go to heaven? Am I gonna go to hell? I never truly knew what my relationship with heaven and hell was. The closest thing that I've gotten is that heaven and hell do exist on earth. And I believe that to be true, just because you can have your greatest and worst experiences on earth. We know that horrible, evil, diabolical, malicious, disgusting things happen on the earth. And we also know, but unfortunately maybe we don't see it as much as we want to, or we don't acknowledge it, that the most beautiful, amazing, love-filled, awe-inspiring, breathtaking, renewing, amazing things happen on the earth as well, within ourselves, our relationships, our experiences. So we're both here. And that ties in to the Bible, I think, because, the earth, as far as I understand, is the Garden of Eden. The earth is paradise. It was meant to be paradise for people. And then when Satan, Lucifer, was cast out of heaven, he was sent to earth and to have dominion over earth. So he rules the earth. And so hell is here too. We have both. And we can feed one or the other. But now I believe and feel that there is absolutely something beyond that in this physical plane. And this past summer, about 6 months ago, I had an experience that I believe reaffirms that. Essentially, I took psilocybin mushrooms for the third time. 3 is also a very significant number for me. But I took it for the third time. First 2 times were great. Third time, not great. Terrible. The worst thing ever, and I will never do it again in my life. But essentially, I saw hell. It's crazy to explain, but there were layers of my trip, and there were people that found me there. And part of why I think this happened is because I've always been really, really good with keeping out negative energy. Like, even, because I used to look into witchcraft. I used to have a roommate who was a witch. We did a seance once with 2 other friends. Everybody heard whatever that was in the apartment that we were trying to speak to or whatever. Everybody heard it but me. I couldn't hear anything. We even recorded it, and we have all the noises it made on recording. I never heard any of it at all. Every time I've always felt something eerie or spooky around me, like I audibly say, like, no, get out of my space. Like, no. I push that away. I never allow anything in. And I think very much so because I was in such a vulnerable state, whatever that has been trying to get to me found me. And that is how it felt, because they truly found me. Like, they were physical people in my vision that found me, that were in the sky, that grabbed my attention and tried to scare me. There were what I would describe as angels and demons fighting in the sky, in the clouds that I saw. I can't exactly describe to you what they looked like, but it was like a battle genuinely happening in the sky right now, or them. And there was a cloud figure, like a head, with these 2 huge horns, giant, in the sky, like screaming. And there were people in my wood floor in my apartment. So I was outside for most of this, so a lot of the stuff outside was in the sky. When I came inside, there were people trapped in my wood floor, and they were screaming in agony. Like, I couldn't hear anything, but their faces looked like they were being tormented, and they were all twisting around in there and like screaming and yelling, like in the wood. And then there was like this one face that came up that was like looking right at me and had a really big contorted smile, and it was scary. And I felt really disturbed after that experience. I was like, why? I was like, what's wrong with me that I saw all this? But And I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want somebody to tell me like there's something wrong with me. But I really don't believe that there is. Like, I'm pretty on top of my shit here. As much as I possibly can be, you know, I'm only human. But I do think, like, and I've always felt like that something's been trying to get at me. And it is said that, you know, the devil goes after, I guess I don't want to say the strongest people, but stronger people, you know, like they go after them twice as hard or twice as much. So that was my experience. And it is really reaffirmed, especially coming to this point, that there is something, someplace that is hell, that is hellish. Because, you know, a few weeks after that experience, I was just not right. I felt so weird. I just felt like nothing, almost, but dread. And I felt so far away from God. Like I've never felt, I don't think, that deserted or just separated. And it's horrifying. And I've just been sitting on these really uncomfortable, like just deeply disturbed feelings, not being able to understand or explain everything that I just saw, what just happened. And like I couldn't think about it too much or I would get anxious, and then I feel like I was seeing stuff. But then, you know, a few weeks later, like 3.5 probably weeks later, I just sit down on my couch from work and I look out the window, and previously on my trip, like I'd seen these faces in the trees like looking at me, trying to scare me. I look out my window and you know, the leaves are there and it's like kind of trippy, and then something happens to my focus where I feel like it's like zooming in and out, and then I immediately start to panic and have a panic attack. And all of the like deeply disturbed feelings just come out, and I'm terrified. Like I don't know what to do. I have to eventually, like, I have to call my mom, and I'm like, I took mushrooms, like, I need help. I don't understand what's happening. I can't stay here. I couldn't be in my apartment because I was genuinely traumatized here. Trauma. And I just remember when I was sitting there on my couch, what triggered that zoomy feeling, I was thinking about that experience, and I was like, that's what hell is like. That's what hell is like. And then it zoomed, and I was like, freaked out. Because that was hell. That was hell. Not only did I see hell, but being in that experience was hell. Because if you've ever taking any psychedelics, when you're in it, you're in it. You don't know when it's going to end. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to end. And that's hell. Like, that's torture, is being in this perpetual state that you will never escape from, of things just trying to scare you and hurt you. And you don't ever get to look away. That's how I felt. So I didn't get to look away. And my God, I kept my eyes open the whole time. Because I just felt, I was like, I cannot close my eyes right now. I didn't want to invite that into my head. It already got in there enough. But I didn't want to close my eyes and see things I didn't want to see, because then I would be afraid to close my eyes. I couldn't do that. But yes, I really think I saw hell. And I saw it in my floor, which is the craziest thing. Like outside, I saw, and there was levels to it too. It wasn't even just hell. There were like people that found me in the sky. Real people. But like the suffering people that I saw trapped in the wood of my floors is like something I just cannot explain. Like I genuinely can't explain it. Like I can't think of anything that would prompt any of that other than the people finding me, because I always had this feeling and this fear that I'm going to be assassinated. I don't know where that comes from. That's one of my irrational fears. But other than that, like maybe that's where the people that found me came from, feeling found, and that being scary. But everything else, like the literal angels and monsters or demons or whatever, like there was two sides fighting in the sky. And one of them like just intuitively felt like a better side than the other one. Just saying. And then like the literal like horned cloud monster. And the eyes and the floor, like totally unwarranted. Totally unwarranted. And with all that, it really made me think differently about life and death and what it all means and where it's all going. And in reading the Bible, I found that fairly naturally I'm stuck to a lot of the things that are in the Bible, that are seen as good, that are seen as godly. Not that I'm perfect at all, but I really genuinely don't like doing things that are hurtful, and I do experience guilt and that I hate to feel, because I know when I'm doing something wrong. I'm too conscious to pretend like I don't know what I'm doing, because I do, and I take full responsibility. So I have to do things better, With that micro obsession and not understanding where I'm gonna go, or worrying so much about if I'm doing enough, or if I'm in a good spot in the eyes of God. It's only made me, I think, worse off. Not that you shouldn't think about those things, but it created doubt. It created this space of nervousness, and the whole point is to have faith. So I think when that doubt comes in, that's when evil, the devil, whatever, has the opportunity to come in and to cause more havoc than is necessary. And I've had these callings, I would say, and I felt so separated from them because I was just too preoccupied with getting it right. But I think focusing too much on being a perfect, godly person is going to keep you away from life. Not to say that sin or bad things or neglecting what is right is necessarily okay, but we're not perfect, and perfectionism is not the answer. Uh, Having trust and faith and trying your best is the answer. And trusting that what you feel inside of you, um, what you really feel inside of you, not things that come from negative emotions, not things that come from hate, anger, insecurity, but there's this special kind of feeling that just feels right, and that closest you could describe it to is godly intuition. And it takes, I think, time to figure out what feelings are what and where they come from and what ones you can trust and what you can't. But with practice, you can get there. And last night I prayed. I've been praying more, not just within this last week, but last night I especially prayed. And I wanted a sign that I can continue doing the things that I really want to do and like I feel like are in my heart's purpose and things that I've always felt called to do. Because, reading this had made me question everything. And I'm obsessed with understanding anything, everything. I love to know as much as I can. But in praying for just a sign that I am doing the right thing and what I want is the right thing, I kind of gave that sign to myself. And I felt it. And I was like, but this is what I want to do. And I believe in it so much. And that was what I needed. I needed my own conviction to be the proof that this is the right thing for me. That I am doing what God wants me to do because I'm so convicted doing it. That this is what I feel so called and pulled towards, and doing the opposite would just be so defeating and disempowering and suck so much joy and value and purpose out of my life and out of my future. And I couldn't imagine devoting myself to something else in the same way. And after that, I felt liberated and empowered and closer to God. No longer feeling such incredible doubt, but just continuing to have faith and letting that take me to wherever I need to go and to the experiences that will continue to develop me and will strengthen my faith and will create a future that hopefully God has determined that I'm worthy of, that I would like to have. So that is that. God and life are not against each other. They are one. And I think, you definitely can't have life without God. And I don't think you can really have a fulfilling life without God. And if you try to be God, you won't really have a life. So it's okay to be human. I think God likes us that way. But He likes us to try our best too. And that's all you can do. And if God can forgive you for your mistakes or sins or whatever you want to call it, then you can too. That's it. So, thank you for watching another episode of The Talking Fever. That's me. And talk about something interesting in the next one. I don't know.